There's a particular kind of a man who, when he saw power over another, needs to remind them of it. Not through commands, not through punishment, but through small, unnecessary cruelties. The ones that have no purpose except to say, I own you. Epaphroditus was that kind of a man. He was a freedman himself, once. Born into slavery under Nero's court, he had clawed his way up, secretary, confident, eventually one of the most powerful men in Rome, a man who knew exactly what it meant to be property. And perhaps that was why he needed a slave of his own. His name was Epictetus, a boy from Hierapolis, in what is now Turkey. His name, in Greek, meant simply the acquired one. He had been bought, assigned, and filed away, like furniture. One afternoon, for reasons history does not bother to record, perhaps boredom, perhaps something darker, Epaphroditus took hold of Epictetus's leg and began to twist it. Slowly, the boy looked at him and said, quietly, "You're going to break it." Epaphroditus kept twisting. "You're going to break it." The bone snapped, and Epictetus said, "Did I not tell you?" No cry, no rage, no plea, just 3 words, spoken with the calm of a man watching rainfall. Epaphroditus stared at him, and something shifted in the room. Because a man who can break your leg and find nothing in your eyes, no fear, no hatred, no surrender, does not own you. He never did. What Epaphroditus did not know was that Epictetus had already learned something from a philosopher named Musonius Rufus, a man who believed that philosophy was not for lecture halls. It was for slaves, for prisoners, for anyone the world had already decided was nothing. Musonius had taught him a single idea, that there are 2 categories of things in this world: things within your control and things that are not. Your body, not yours. Your reputation, not yours. Your freedom, in the legal sense, not yours. But your judgment, your response, the direction of your own mind, that no one can touch. Not even a man with your leg in his hands. Epictetus was eventually freed. No dramatic escape, no rebellion. He was simply released, as these things sometimes happened in Rome, and he began to teach. He rented a small room. He had almost nothing: a straw mat, a lamp, an iron pot, which someone stole, and he replaced with a clay one, noting that the clay one was harder to steal because it was worth less. He seemed to find this funny. Students came from across the empire, sons of senators, military commanders, men who had every door open to them sitting cross-legged on the floor of a former slave, learning how to live. He never wrote anything down himself. Everything we have from Epictetus was recorded by one of his students, a young man named Arion, who sat in the back of the room and quietly transcribed everything he heard, as if he understood that he was witnessing something that should not be lost. Then Domitian, Emperor of Rome decided that philosophers were dangerous. He expelled them from the city. Epictetus packed what little he had, which was almost nothing, and walked. He settled in Nicopolis, a small city in northwestern Greece, opened another small school, and continued. No bitterness recorded, no protest, as if Rome had simply been the room he was using. And now, he was using a different one. Decades later, in a palace in Rome, a man sat alone at night and wrote in a private journal he never intended anyone to read. His name was Marcus Aurelius. He was the most powerful man in the world. He wrote, from Epictetus, learn the true nature of good and evil. The emperor, writing by lamplight, studying the words of a man who died owning nothing, whose leg had been broken by a bored master, who had been expelled from his home by a frightened emperor. Marcus had armies, he had palaces, he had a name that would be carved in stone for 2,000 years, and he was reading Epictetus to understand how to be free. There is something worth sitting with here. Epaphroditus broke a leg. Domitian broke a life, or tried to. And both of them, in the end, could not reach the one thing they were actually after. The part of Epictetus that decided what things meant. We tend to think of freedom as something granted, a door that opens, a chain that falls. Epictetus thought differently. He believed freedom was something you either claimed or abandoned, long before anyone put a chain on you. The man who needs approval to feel worthy is already a slave. The man who cannot bear discomfort is already imprisoned. The door of the cell, in most cases, is not locked from the outside. Epictetus died an old man, quietly, in Nicopolis. He had by then adopted an abandoned child, because no one else would take it. He had almost no possessions. He had apparently been happy. The Enchiridion, the small handbook Arrian compiled from his lectures, is still in print today. It has never gone out of print. A straw mat, a clay pot, a broken leg, and words that have outlasted every emperor who ever tried to silence them.